Even sitting on the PLC, they would have said, what's going on with Reed Marnie? We need to talk about this. It would not have happened. But it did. It did. Here we are 3 years later. We still haven't addressed who our number 9 is. We're mucking around with Brendan Hands and Joey Lussick. They're both okay, but they're not Reed Marnie. We tried to sign Josh Hodgson. What a shocking decision that was. He ain't Reed Marnie. Matt Arthur, I like what I see. He's not Reed Marnie. No one sat down and said, what is the best decision for this club for that position? And the one fundamental thing that they've missed, you don't muck around with your spine. You're 1, 6, 7, and 9. If you don't have to, you do not muck around with your spine, particularly when it looks like it is building towards something. And Reed Marnie was so good in 2019, 20, and 21. He did not deserve to be treated like that. And by the way, where do we end up in 2022? We're in the grand final. When our club was incredibly successful in the mid-90s to early millennia in terms of our pathways, where we were the envy of the entire league. That was the architect of that was Brian Smith. If you look at 2022 as an example, 5 players didn't play. 5 players were moving on from the grand final. Unfortunately, Reed Marnie was one of them. Who did we replace them with? Because instead of putting faith in our elite pathways, we just signed 5 more players. Now, Jermaine Hopgood is absolutely fantastic. I think he could be the future captain of our club. However, Moisia, Jack Murchie, Josh Hodgson, and Matt Dury. I think Matt Dury's all right, but he's injury prone. But nevertheless, those 4 players did nothing to improve our side. But we put the money in, salary cap, there it goes. We put no faith in our elite pathways. Players like Sam Hughes then left. Sam Hughes is now the starting prop for the Canterbury Bulldogs. They're now finals bound while we're playing for a wooden spoon. You had some players you could have brought up and you could have trusted them. They might not have been ready, but you got to trust them. Flip that over to 1999. In 1999, we lost to the Melbourne Storm in the preliminary final. Terrible memories. We had an absolute exodus. But in 2000, instead of just band-aiding over the solutions, just hiring another bunch of players to cover it, Brian Smith brought in all our elite pathways players. And by then, whether they were first year, second year, third year, you got the Nathan Kalish brothers, Nathan and Jason, Hindmarsh brothers, Nathan and Ian. You had Pat Richards, Eric Groth Jr., you had Jamie Lyon, David Vilecki, PJ Marsh, Andrew Ryan, you had Luke Burt, you had Michael Hodgson, Daniel Irvine. I've probably missed a few players in there, but the point is you had players that came through the system for 2000. We had a rough start to the year, but we hit our guns, and next thing you know, 2001, probably the most legendary season of any team of all time, short of winning the title. But it was a great experience as a Parramatta supporter. And if you look at the club championships, we won 6 in a row between 97 and 2002 and 9 out of 10 in that time when Brian Smith was the coach. He coached for 11 years, won 9 out of 10 club championships. That is an architect of elite pathways. And the attitude with the players back then were they wanted nothing more than to see them play first grade for Brian Smith. Can you imagine in Brian Smith's time, a player as good as Blaise Talangi, let's say it was a player like PJ Marsh who was absolutely heralded coming through the system, or a Nathan Hindmarsh. Can you imagine them having a quick little taste of first grade and then going out and finding another club they want to go to, negotiating with the club, and then leaving for less money? It would never have ever happened under Brian Smith's day. Now, people say, listen, Michael, what proof do you have of any of this? What does the evidence tell you? Forget proof. What does the evidence tell you? Let me switch that question around and say this. You're at a pub, you got three, four mates, you're all having a drink, you start talking about elite pathways. None of you are Penrith supporters. And you all start sitting down talking about how great Penrith's Elite Pathways program is. You've never been to Penrith HQ. You've never spoken to Matt Cameron. You've never spoken to Ivan Cleary. You've never spoken to Phil Gould. You don't know anything about Penrith's pathways. But your opinion is that their pathways are elite. What are you basing it off? Evidence. Forget what you can prove. You can't prove it. You've never seen it. But what does the evidence suggest? And look at our situation. I don't want to go over everything. I don't want to talk about the fact that we should have had Utoi Kamanu and we should have stuck with Kafusi. We should have stuck with Reed Marnie. There are some players that we all loved. Did we really need to sign them? Sam Hughes could have been in the team. I mean, I remember Jonte Jr. beat the Mesa, was an incredible player coming through the juniors. I don't know why we let him go to Queensland Cup. Ethan Sanders, Blaise Talangi. This was your future. Guys, thank you for listening up. Go Parramatta.